Good morning. Welcome to the second of our 3 workshops with Dubber, a unified call recording and voice AI solution that's now available from the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace. I'm going to give our attendees maybe another 30 seconds, a minute to join. I can see them all logging on now, which is terrific. My name is Tasha, and we're going to be exploring the more technical side of Dubber. So I'll pop back in maybe just a little bit here, and then we can get started. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we begin, I'm just going to do a little sound check here. Oh, brilliant. You can hear me. In case someone's just popped that in the chat. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure we were all clear here. I'll just introduce myself again. I'm Tasha Sultanovic, and I work for the Ingram Micro Cloud business here in Australia. And this morning, we're doing our second of our 3 workshops with Dubber, a unified call recording and voice AI solution that's just been launched on the cloud marketplace. Today's a more technical discussion, so I hope that we have the right audience. We have some really good presenters today. Dubber was created to enable businesses, governments, and organizations of any size, really, the ability to capture conversations and sentiment in real time to improve customer satisfaction and gain critical compliance, which is a growing necessity when dealing with the public and with our privacy laws now. You can buy Dubber from Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx, Zoom, and even for Telstra Marketplace today. And at the end of the presentation, I'll be showing you just how to do that. This presentation, the Dubber contacts and links to more Dubber info will be made available on the post-webinar follow-up email as well, which we always provide. Don't forget to put your questions in the chat box too, and I'll get them answered at the end, or I'll make something up, but yeah, go ahead and pop them in there. I'll come back at the end and tell you how to order Dubber on Marketplace, show you some screenshots, etc. But now let's hear from Dubber's APAC Solutions Architect, Shri, who is also joined by Tim, Director of the Dubber Microsoft practice for APAC. Shri, take it away, and I'll come back a little bit later.
Yep. Thank you, Tasha, and good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us. So, so just to set an agenda, so we'll be covering the technical workshop, the Dubber Rewards program, and Dubber on Ingram Micro Cloud Phase, with Tasha would basically chip in, and at the end we will have a Q&A. So I'll just pass over to Tim so that he can explain what Dubber basically looks like as an organization. So over to you, Tim.
Thanks, Shri. Yeah, just for me to set the scene on Dubber for those that aren't familiar who we are. So our tagline is, we are the voice of the network, and explain that in more context in a minute. We're a 10-year-old company now. We still very much feel like a startup and still accelerating at a very quick pace. We're ASX listed. For those that follow the stock market, we recently raised about $110 million. It was that subscription round was oversubscribed to enable us to grow out the business. That's through acquisition, but also growing out the team globally. It says 105 employees there. We're probably closer to 140 there, and that will soon grow even more. Melbourne headquartered. I'm based in Sydney. Shree's based in Sydney, with offices around the world, 2 in the US and the UK. We're a native and cloud leader. So from the ground up, we have been, and from day one, been built of the cloud and for the cloud. And it's a way that we differentiate ourselves in the market, particularly in this space around call recording and within the Microsoft Teams environment in particular. Our platform is native to the cloud, and we host everything. So there is no need for anyone else to to spin up any instances of anything else, software licensing, and I don't want to steal Shree's thunder because he'll go into that in more detail. But that's certainly a way that we look to differentiate ourselves. I mentioned we're growing exponentially. We are built on so we have over 200 service providers globally now that Dubber is enabled on the platform. So what that means is, predominantly through our relationship with the likes of Broadsoft, we now sit on the back of large carriers. So thinking AT&T, Verizon, Telstra, O2 in the UK, Vodafone. So numerous carrier networks around the world to then enable them to switch on call recording and the AI capabilities on their network. As a result of these relationships and the number of users we have being recorded, we're recording billions of minutes on an annual basis, and storing those in a way that's sovereign to the region in which they're captured, and providing deep insights into the customers and their customers, as well as ensuring compliance mandates are met. Not just from the recordings, but we use industry-leading AI to make sure that we can really mine those recordings for rich data and provide deep insights into conversations, and gives the ability to, rather than having to trawl through thousands or millions of recordings, to be able to find that information you're looking for, or zero down into subsets of data to really analyze that, only the information you really want to be looking at. And then on the back of, we have an API capability that then gives you the, to leverage strategic relationships we have. So with IBM, Microsoft, Cisco, Salesforce, can pull data into any solution that you might want. So hopefully that paints a bit of a picture of who we are as an organisation. And I'll hand back to Shree to go through with the workshop.
Yep. Thank you, Tim. Right, so technical workshop. So what are we going to cover today? So, Tim has already covered the Dubber company overview. So what I'm going to cover is basically the architecture. Then we'll progress to a portal demo. Then we'll talk about how do you consume data, basically around analytics. Then we'll talk about the Salesforce integration and the product roadmap. Right, so this is how it looks like. So with the Dubber architecture, so as you can see on my screen, the center page of attraction is a Dubber platform, which is basically on the AWS infrastructure. So Dubber is a global platform, right? So basically we mirror every region that AWS has a presence. So with respect to the APAC region, we serve out of Australia, Singapore, and India, and Japan, right? So as you can see, the platform is completely hosted on AWS. So we leverage, Aurora DB, S3 for storage and stuff like that. So, and we have, active integrations or partnership with IBM, where we leverage the IBM Watson engine for speech-to-text transcription and AI insights. So on the left side of this particular architecture, you can see telephony users, right? So you can see the UCaaS bunch over there. So you have the likes of the Gartner Magic Quadrant in the UCaaS space, like Cisco, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and RingCentral, and also Vocus, right? And on the telephony or the mobile voice space, we have active integrations with Telstra at the moment, and we will be live on Optus by the end of September, beginning of October, right? So that's a unique, solution that we have, because we are the only operator in the call recording space that can record mobile voice traffic. Right, so you would have customers who might be using any of the UCaaS platform that's mentioned, but once they're not in the office and they want to basically make or receive business phone calls and they want to be compliant, and when they are on either of those two networks, we can record that traffic as well, right? So you don't really need to have any internet access to get a softphone activated, because we can record natively off your basic smartphone dialer, right, without the need of any app. So in terms of integration with this UCaaS platform, so in the likes of Telstra, Optus, or Cisco, it's basically a SIP-rec connection where we get the traffic right from their SBCs, right? But with the likes of Microsoft Teams or Zoom or RingCentral, we leverage the open API stack provided by them, and then we basically capture the traffic and then push it to the AWS platform for compute, processing, and storage. So once the call goes through that entire process, which is basically the media processing, the speech-to-text transcription, the sentiment, and the AI notification, you can consume the data, on in 3 different avenues. So basically the web browser, the mobile app, which is basically used for search and replay, and the REST API. So using the REST APIs, you could manage your complete account and also export the data out from the Double platform and integrate with a third-party app for further analytics or workflows. So in terms of data residency, that's always a question posed by our customers since we are on the cloud. So we are compliant in the sense like we basically store the data in the region of capture. So if you're an Australian customer and you've made or received a call within the Australian realm, we basically store the data within the AWS Sydney region, so which basically the data resides anywhere between Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth, and under no circumstances does the data get shipped out of the region of capture. And we basically encrypt all the data using AES 256-bit encryption keys at rest, and in transit it is all secured using HTTPS or TLS. Right, so that's it about the architecture on a high-level note. So if you go to the double region, so we basically cover 80% of the GDP on the globe, right? So as you can see, all the blue spots are the available regions that we have presence in, and the red dots are basically, the red circles are the ones where we have our Microsoft Teams integration, right? So what I'm going to do next is walk you through the double portal, which is the window where you can search and replay calls and also see your call analytics of your call. So I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Right. So just before I jump onto the portal, we do support single sign-on. So if any of your partners or customers want to use their own Microsoft logins or Google logins, they can leverage the SSO feature and just use the same credentials to log into the double page. So once you're on the double page, it's pretty minimalistic. So you can see that you would be able to see all of your call recordings, your personal call recordings. You can group users based on the line of business they are in. So what does Double basically provide you, right, as a user or a customer? So it's basically unifying all sort of comms into a single portal. So you might have users on any UCaaS platform like Cisco WebEx or Microsoft Teams, right, and also users who are on the field using their mobile phones, right? So you can basically leverage all those comms and push it to a platform like Double and run AI insights on top of that, right, at a huge scale without the need of any on-prem equipment or anything of that sort. So let's take an example over here. So Peter Pulham, he might be a Microsoft Teams user over here. So what do you get to see? So you get to see the caller information, the caller ID, the date and the time, like standard call recording, controls over here and features, right? So apart from that, you also get, enhanced features, especially aligned to the FSI sector for compliance, like legal hold. So which means that, you can legally hold the calls for the life of that particular customer or account. So, and mind you, with Double, you get unlimited storage. So as long as you're a Double customer, we retain the data for free, right? So which means that if you're a customer for 25 or 50 years, we still maintain the data and we never archive it, right? Because we use AWS S3, right? And we also have options like to share the call as an external link to another party, so they don't have to basically download the call and send it via email, which is unsecure. Because using this, it is still secure because it's on an HTTPS link and has an expiry period of like 24 hours. And with the basic license, you also get options to take notes. Like after the call, you listen to the call and you want to add some notes or tags, we can do that. And once you add that, it becomes a searchable field as well, right? And based on the kind of user permissions you have, you can download and delete the call as well. And if you go to the search bar, you could search in different calls, different groups. You could filter by recordings or voicemails or monitor users, and you can query on your users' names, your CTI details, or tags or speech-to-text transcription if you have AI turned on, and also date range searches, right? So that's basically the raw call recording product. The next iteration is the AI product. So in almost all the calls, you would be able to see a book icon and also an emoji icon, which basically depicts that the calls have the AI turned on. So let's see what happens when I click on this particular icon. So it directs me to a different page where I'm still able to play back the call, but I also get to see the overall sentiment of that conversation, right? And the 7 emotions in play and the speech-to-text transcription along with the sentiment. So the sentiment can be anywhere between positive, neutral, or negative. And if I want to start playing the call from a particular utterance, I just click on that utterance, and the call would start playing from there. And the beauty of the platform lies in the fact that you can export everything that you see on the screen. So I'm talking about exporting the audio file as an MP3 file, the sentiment, the 7 emotions, and speech-to-text transcription out of the platform, maybe integrated with Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics here, or push it to Power BI for further analytics. And we do have active integrations with Salesforce, so you can basically go to the Salesforce marketplace and purchase the plugin. I'll show you the Salesforce plugin demo as well. Right, so the next feature that you get with the AI license is known as AI notifications. In simple terms, it's keyword matching. So when you're a stock new customer, this would be empty, and depending upon the kind of business that you run, you could create up to 100 notifications. So let's say you're working with an health emergency provider, maybe an ambulance provider. So what sort of notification might be useful for them? So there might be prime on keywords like emergency or trauma whenever it's mentioned in a particular conversation, and it might be a user on their end. The participant might be a vulnerable customer or a VIP customer. You put in the DID or mobile number. Optionally, you select the sentiment and emotion. And whenever these criteria are met, it would send out a notification to this particular email address. And on a frequency of your choice, if immediate or summary, if it's urgent, it's immediate, summary, not so urgent at the end of the day, right? And what you can also do is, using the Open API stack, you can funnel this information to a third-party app, right? Maybe you want to create multiple SMS notifications, right? Because you want to reach out to your field team who doesn't have access to internet, right? So what do? You have a Twilio endpoint, put it on Twilio, API, and it would send out mass SMS, right? Or if it's like a sales call, what it could do is, trigger a notification to your Salesforce instance. So the possibilities are unlimited with the AI notification, and basically cuts out the noise, right? So if you have like hundreds of calls coming into your organization every hour or every day, you don't have the time to look into all those hundreds of calls, right? So what you do is you just keep tab on the keywords that you are interested in, and the system would actively notify you, right? Just to listen to that call. So saving a lot of time and making it's possible, like you sit on top of your business, right? So that's it about the portal demo, right? So the next bit that I want to talk about is analytics. So we have spoken about capturing the data, the audio data, and basically doing the speech-to-text transcription. So with both the license, the system provides you the ability to export the data as a CSV file, right, and push it to any analytics tool like Power BI or Tableau or even Google Studio, right? So the kind of information that we expose is basically the user information, the information associated to that particular account, the debug information, the CTI information, like caller, direction, duration, etc. The AI information called sentiment and tone and emotion, and the media file. You can also export the speech-to-text transcription, but that's an additional add-on on the API. Usually focused on enterprises where they have BI practices and stuff like that. So what I want to share is basically a case study that we did with a point of sale software vendor here in Sydney. So basically what they do is they provide payment gateway solutions, like the POS machines, and also gateway solutions on checkout pages, right? So what they had was declining customer retention and satisfaction. So we went in there with our AI solution. We put in the system for like 3 months and started extracting the information out from the the voice files. And basically they just use the export tool feature, just the CSV file. So as you can see, we did the exercise in like last year in June. So we basically extracted the data for a week, and you can see that from the initial dashboard, and this is by the way done on Tableau, you can see that they had like 500 calls spanning across 25 users, and mainly it's an inbound calls on them with 400 plus calls. And we get this gateway information from any solution that's out there, right? And you can see the daily call trends particularly consistent, apart from 17th, where you see a spike in inbound calls. The red color basically depicts inbound calls, and if you see the average call distribution, it's quite high between 8 and 10:30 a.m. right? So this dashboard doesn't give you much info like what happened on that day. So if you go to the next dashboard where you have the AI, now you have a bit more understanding of what's happening, right? So you still have the KPI information, but you get the sentiment. So everything is consistent except for 17th, where you see a spike in negative sentiment. So red denotes negative, green is positive, and yellow being neutral. And you see the average sentiment distribution is dominated by neutral and negative sentiment. And if you see the overall sentiment, it looks kind of okay because everything is evenly distributed. But for the inbound calls, the average sentiment is dominated by the negative sentiment. And if you see the emotional trend, everything is on this north side for 17. Like you have more emotions like anger, fear, and sadness. So right now you have 2 bits of info, you have more calls on 17, and most of those calls were negative. So if you go to the final dashboard, so mind you, you just keep a tab on how many clicks I've done, basically 2 clicks as of now, right? And what I do right now is I just filter it down a particular date, like 17, and it validates my assumption, right? So I had 166 calls, mainly inbound, and most of those calls have happened between 8:30 a.m. and all of those calls were negative in emotion, right? And I randomly click one particular call, and it directs out to the double page where I'm not even listening to the call. I go through the transcription, and I get to see what's the issue in that organization. So what are the customers saying? Like basically they're business owners who are calling up the contact center and saying that the POS machines are getting restarted. So the business owners are unable to take payments from the customers, right? And it's happening for a second time in a month. And they're just frustrated. They want to move away from this vendor. So, we sampled like 5 to 10 calls during that day, and it was the same. It was just consistent. This messaging was consistent across almost all the calls, right? So what was happening is basically in this organization on that particular day, none of the customers were able to make payments because the POS machines and the game and gateway was just giving up. So they understand why the customers have a declining loyalty because they are providing an inferior solution to their end users, right? So they're basically putting the businesses at risk. And the process improvement piece is interesting because what was happening in that organization was they did not have a proper test run or QA process where they would just put in the patches and just not run the test properly to see if the system would keep up with the amount of volume of transactions, right? So they do not do that the load test properly, and that was the problem. So they had to basically go and put a process for that, so that next time the patches are put on, right, the transactions have to go on the software engineering side. And they also have an avenue to mitigate risk by creating AI notifications. So whenever keywords like gateway restarting, payments not happening, payment failure are mentioned on a particular call, you get a notification immediately from the double application, right? So you can be on top of that rather than wait for 1 or 2 days to understand what was happening on that particular day, right? So that's one aspect, of case study. So another thing is basically, we do provide dashboards out of the box as well. So if you use Power BI, we do have templates like this, which would show you information like the total number of call recordings, error reports, which will basically show you the AI sentiment trend, and the for both inbound and outbound calls. So basically gives you like how many calls are positive or negative. And if you go to the final dashboard, you can filter it down on a particular date and sentiment. And once you get hold of the call that you want to keep or basically investigate, you click on the URL, it directs you to the double page where you will be able to play back the call. So in this case, I'm not a customer, so it's basically a customer account, so I won't be able to log in. So yeah, we can provide you the templates as well. So the next bit that I want to talk about is the Salesforce integration. So we spoke about extracting the data and running visualization. The next bit is like, how do you integrate the application to a CRM solution like Salesforce, so that you don't have to jump across multiple windows, like a double page to review call recordings and a Salesforce page to see what's happening and try to correlate two different conversations, right? So what you can do is go to the marketplace and purchase a Salesforce plugin. And what it basically does is, like, let's say you can get the double information associated with a particular account or named account within named contact within Salesforce. So let's say this particular double demo, you would have it pay another tab when you have the integration enabled, like a double tab, and under that you get similar information just like on the double page, right? So you get to see the date, time, the to and from information, the duration, right? And if you want to play the call against this particular interaction. You don't have to go to the demo page. You click over here, right? So you get to see all the details over here. And if you want to really play back the call, you click on this hyperlink, it will direct you in that case. So no need of login if it's single sign-on. And you also get to see the transcription as well, right? So within Salesforce, you would be able to manage your roles and also listen to calls and do stuff like that over here. So it's on the marketplace. You can buy it now if you're a customer. Right. So that's it about the Salesforce integration. So the next bit is we have spoken about what we have today. I want to basically show what's gonna come in the future in the next 3 to 4 months. So AI enhancements is something. So we are continuously fine-tuning the engine, especially for different markets. We will have a custom language model for FSI sectors and also healthcare sector. So right now to our customers, what we have is a general engine. But in the past, what we used to do was, whenever there was an FSI customer, you have to do a custom integration, custom language modeling. But what we are and what we will be enabling is we would understand what kind of market you're in, and you can just drop down and select that custom language model for your particular organization. And also, we will have speaker separation as well. That's coming on the portal. And the next bit is more content capture and UI enhancement. So with the Microsoft Teams integration that we have today is basically capturing the audio data from your phone endpoints and also the video meetings. We are capturing the audio part. So the next iteration is basically we will have the video capture capability by the end of September. And towards the end of this year, we will have Microsoft Teams chat conversations also recorded, on the Double platform. And you will have, some pre-built dashboarding capability on the portal itself, right? And the third aspect is security. So, we are continuously evolving the security aspect of the platform. So right now we have, IDP level SSO, and we will be supporting service provider level SSO as well. And another thing is self-serve audit reports. So, on the platform, you will be able to download a report saying that, who has accessed the call, who has downloaded or deleted the call. So really useful for, security team for auditing the platform in general. Right, I think that marks the end of my demonstration, and I want to hand it back over to Tim. Tim, take it away.
Fantastic, Sri. Thanks very much for that that overview. I just wanted to talk briefly about the Double Rewards program that we've got going at the moment. Sri, if you could just go to the next slide. Just so everyone knows, you don't have to be a salesperson to take advantage of this. This is open to whoever registers the opportunity. So what we're providing is for those partners through Ingram is the ability to earn up to $5,000. The way we do this is that we're paying $5 per endpoint for any opportunity that's registered with Dubber. And then for those opportunities that are over 150 endpoints, we'll actually be doubling that. So a booster would provide 2 times that. So essentially $10 for those opportunities over 150 endpoints. Very easy to do. Identify the Dubber prospect, register the opportunity on the Dubber website. I'm sure Tash, the team, will send out the link there, but on the Dubber website, you'll see a Dubber Grow link there, and then scheduling a customer demo with Dubber. So that's the key one, making sure that a Dubber representative has been able to engage with the customer to validate the opportunity. So very straightforward. Sale doesn't have to close. It's the registration of those opportunities and the scheduling of the customer demo that will ensure you're eligible for those rewards. That's it from me.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Sri. Ivy, can I ask you to hand me mouse control, please? Don't forget, Sri, this is when you can't touch your computer. Let's see if this is working.
Oh.
I'll know if you do. Here we go. Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for that information. As technical as it was, it even made sense to me. And understanding how the AI piece in the background, yeah, it's really fascinating. It reminds me of, remember 15 years ago when you were on those calls with call centers and people were were getting angry, and anyway, it was, I'm glad that we've progressed from that, and that there's a customer satisfaction way forward for a lot of these companies now. What I'm going to do now is show everyone, whoa, hold on one moment, I have lost, I've lost, there we go, apologies for that. I'm going to show you how to order Dubber off the cloud marketplace. Just waiting for the mouse control. I think, Sri, you may have to do it. Ah.
Happy to do that. Just let me know. I can just do it from here.
Oh, cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine. So for those on the call who have a Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace account, you log on to the same link that you always do. If you don't have one, super easy to get one. When you get our email, the follow-up of the webinar, just reach out to our sales team and they can help you set one up really like in less than 2 days. Like it's super quick. So Dubber sits under communication and collaboration on the marketplace, and you literally just click unified call recording in voice AI. Next slide, please. And on the page here, before you actually log into the marketplace, this is still the public page, you have different tabs here that you can go into: benefits, why Dubber, there's some resources, there's links and videos, etc., that explain more about the actual solution. But to place an order, you do click on the login to marketplace button directly. Thanks, Sri. And here we have the SKUs. So on the first page, you'll have 3 main tiles. These first 3, it's just alphabetical. So it's just the way that they're presented. But then when you click in, you can see further the entire list of Dubber solutions. So we have the compliance edition, the Premier, which is probably the most common one that most people would be buying. And Premier means that can be used for Teams, Cisco, WebEx, Zoom, or Telstra, and I'll show you how to select that a little bit later in the process. And then when Dubber refers to the Teams monthly subscription here, that has to do with Teams as in a group of people, not as in Microsoft Teams, and you as individual, so as an individual user. And then the compliance is literally that when you have a manager or a compliance agent within your organization who needs to have the insights that Sri was talking about in his demonstration. Next, please, Sri. So this is pretty easy. Like literally, like any e-commerce site, you select your quantities, and these are quantities per platform. So if you're ordering for Microsoft, you order that as one order, and if you're ordering for Zoom, that's a separate order. Next. Oh, and I forgot to mention on the previous slide too that this is billed monthly. Thank you, Sri. Billed monthly, but there's an annual commit. So very much like the Microsoft model. Thanks, Sri. I think you're good at this. And then as per all of our order processing over the marketplace, you select your customer or you create a new customer end user and press next. And then the parameters. So every vendor has their own requirements around the information that they need in order to provision. And with Dubber, it's not overly complex at all. You select the country that the customer resides in. At the moment, data centers are in UK, US, or Australia. Of course, you choose Australia unless you had end users in one of those other 2 countries. That will expand as Dubber grows with us. And here's where you select what platform. So Teams, Cisco, Telstra, Zoom. So that's what we're currently selecting when you buy from Ingram Micro. Next, please. And this is the confirmation page. So just obviously making sure that you've ordered exactly what you thought you'd ordered. In the box below, you tick, but also down in that box is the Dubber terms and conditions and our own Income Micro marketplace terms and conditions. So that's easily accessible. Provisioning at the moment can take anywhere between 24 and 48 hours. There is a slight manual step on the Dubber end. It's seamless for our resellers, but please do give it a little bit of time. It's not fully automated like Microsoft, but I know that sometimes our resellers get a little anxious when they see an order pending, but be patient, and we'll reach out to you if there is any issues, but it should flow through quite fine. And then you hit buy. And that is really, really as easy as it is. Yep, you can go to the next slide if you like, Sri. So before I talk about the webinar number 3, in the follow-up email, there will be our contact for Dubber within Ingram named Rocco. Rocco looks after Dubber from I guess, champion perspective. He can help facilitate orders over Marketplace. He can also help you set up a meeting with one of the Dubber team if you need to know more, either from a technical perspective or more about the promotion that Tim was talking about. And we do have a 3rd webinar coming up on the 19th. That's the last of the series. This is focused more around compliance. And I think Dubber likes to remind everyone about the revenue opportunity as well that can be tacked on for this solution. You know, you're buying Teams or WebEx or Zoom anyway, so increase your revenue and provide a service. I'm just going to look and see if I have any questions. Ivy, did I miss any questions? I don't think. No, I think we're good here. Here, I do have one. Hold the phone. Hi, Shri. Can you tell us how easy it is to turn on Dubber for Microsoft Teams?
Yeah, sure. Good question, Tash. So basically with the Microsoft Teams integration, what we usually do is we would ship out a integration guide with some PowerShell scripts. So you would need to run the PowerShell scripts as an admin. It hardly takes around 15 minutes. And by the end of this process, it would generate a CSV file. So just need to send that CSV file over to the Dubber support page and support team. And we would just start provisioning it within 48 hours.
Yeah,
so it's
that's amazing. That's fantastic. And then another question that I actually have is, how does the AI part of the Dubber recording work with IBM? Because I know that is that Watson connection and stuff, but just a bit, can you flesh that out a little bit more?
Yeah, good question, Tash. So what we do is, like, once you have the AI turned on, so you have the raw audio file. So what we do is we send the raw audio file to the IBM Watson engine, right? It's all in transit, so nothing gets stored on the IBM servers. It's still with Dubber. So what they do is they convert that audio file to speech to text transcription. And what they do is they also do the context analysis of that particular conversation. So they they match it with different sentiment, like with keywords. Like there is a lot of sadness in that particular conversation. Like it basically goes to the keywords like I'm really upset, I'm really unhappy. And it also takes the overall context of that conversation into into consideration and gives you the the AI info. So what happens is, like, you send the raw audio file, it does all the processing, then it sends us an API request or call back to the Dubber server with all this information, and then we put it onto a platform, and then we basically visualize that information, right? So it's basically the IBM Watson engine that does all the intelligence stuff at the back end. And having said that, we also work with different other AI engines. So if you want to work with Google or Amazon, we can even do that as well.
Brilliant. That is brilliant. Yeah, I thought your example was really interesting when you could tell by the text that that something was not right. But it's interesting how the Watson, gosh, all I remember about Watson is when it beat someone in chess all those years ago. We've come a long way.
Yeah.
I do have one more, and I think you did touch on this right then about how quickly it can be deployed, but that is literally the process you described. That turning it on is literally about the script. There'll be someone from Dubber support to
Yes.
talk to the reseller and help them implement it into the end user environment.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good segue to talk about the WebEx integration as well. So with WebEx, we are already pre-integrated to the WebEx calling platform because we are the default recording provider for WebEx calling globally, right? So if you're a WebEx customer, you basically turn on call recording on your control hub, and we would start receiving the call traffic right at that moment. Then you would just need to reach out to Dubber support, and we just provision the account. And the day that you've turned on call recording, from the day, like even if it's like after 48 hours, you would still have that calls on the portal. So it's pretty easy.
I'll use that as a segue to further go down the rabbit hole about so Ingram Micro sells Cisco WebEx on Marketplace. Great. So you purchase that, and I know that there's the basic instance of Dubber called Go that's embedded in that WebEx calling SKU. But it's also important, I think, for the resellers to understand that that can be upgraded by using the SKUs that I just demonstrated. That you can have the basic, but it's a taste, and then you can upgrade to obviously the premier, and if you need the compliance, etc. Do you want to speak a little bit about maybe what Go is, so there's no confusion?
So with the Dubber Go, what we do is with Cisco WebEx calling customers is like we provide basic call recording, so no AI in this case. So you would have all your calls recorded, and it would be retained on the platform for like only 30 days. So there is no unlimited storage. So after 30 days, it just gets recycled, right? So for the next 30 days and so on and so forth. And you don't have any API capabilities as well. So it's just for basic call recording purpose. Right.
Yeah, perfect. And I think I'll also add that I know that Dubber is happy to offer trials for any of the products that you have or that we sell, at least on Marketplace. And there's no problem with that. There is not a trial SKU on Marketplace at the moment, but Dubber and Ingram have decided that it should be more of a sales led play, and that absolutely we can introduce anyone who would like to demo the product. I'll just to reach out to us, and we'll introduce you to your support team. So that's great. I'll just do one more check. No, I think we're all good. I'll just remind everyone that we'll put some links and some information about your promotion in the follow-up email, and that we'll also make sure that we include the trial process about who to contact if you do want to trial Dubber. Thank you for your time, Sri and Tim. Amazing. Yeah. We'll see you all on the 19th. Stay safe. Wash your hands. And have a good afternoon.
Bye,
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.